Yeah, what's up, guys? It's Nigel here, and I'm back with an interesting topic to talk about, which is, do you guys think it is important to know frame data or something like that? Do you think it's necessary, a necessity to learn frame data for a fighting game? Now, what I think is yes, very much yes, but there's also a little bit of no, and you're like, what? No, frame data it's pretty much everything. Well, let me break it down to you real quick. So, while I say no a little bit, only because in the early stages of fighting games, it's like, say for instance your first fighting game, you don't know how to play, like you were a shooter person your entire life, your career, you switch to a fighting game and you fight people online, you actually know combos, you're doing good, you're doing stuff, right? And you don't know a thing about frame data at all, like you're just doing good, because that's what I used to do. Like, I wasn't a shooter main, but I was good at fighting games, didn't even know frame data, I just knew when to block and when not to block. So some people actually did not even need to know it at the time period because they were just that good. And then, later down the line I learned it, and, I started understanding a bit of stuff. But in the beginning, the early stages, not really. If you're doing really good, you don't really need to know it at the time. Like, I would say you should, but I suggest you just keep doing your thing until you get to that plateau, which is, the situation where you lose to people that actually know what they're doing and stuff like that, and they're like, oh well, that's minus this, and they mess you up. So if you're just doing it, like playing a fighting game for fun or something, or just a beginner just trying to have fun or stuff like that, you don't need to, especially if you're like a one and done type of person for fighting games, like, oh, I'm gonna beat the story mode, that's it, or you don't even play online, then definitely don't even worry about it. But if you want to be better, then you need to know it. You need to know it. Like, I wouldn't say it's it is a necessity. I was about to step back for a second, but no, it's a necessity. You need to know frame data, because there is a lot of downsides of not knowing frame data and not knowing what your opponent does or what your character does. Because if that's the case, then your opponent, if they do know frame data, they will abuse you. They will absolutely destroy you. Like, if you don't know certain differences, like say for instance you're playing Street Fighter, which has a game where it's like light, medium, heavy attacks, and you're just throwing out heavies, you're gonna get smoked. You're gonna get cooked. That's just for that sounds like no one would ever do that, obviously, unless you're like a beginner player, like a kid or something. But you need to know what you need to do, because if you don't, in certain situations, you're gonna get smoked, cooked, thrown in the washer, and then put on the dryer or hanged out like a shirt, bro. You don't want that to happen to you. You don't want that. Also, once you learn frame data, your mentality will kind of change when you see certain moves. Like, like say for instance you're watching a trailer or something, and you've probably seen this before for certain people that are competitive players or something like that. It's like, oh, when a new character shows, like, oh, that moves plus or something, this, that, and this, and whatnot. You're gonna see things differently, very much differently, because like how the recovery looks and just how the move looks overall, if it's safe or not. Judging by it, obviously you can't tell exactly because trailers, stuff like that, but you'll see things a little differently, which is good, because you'll know what to expect for another fighting game, like what characters do and what they are, and like you'll have a mind's eye, I guess you could say. Even for like the next games, like, oh, this character's probably gonna still have this. If this character does have this, it'll probably be this frames or that or whatever. You'll know what you're doing exactly. And also, again, frame data does help out with people that like to frame trap people, which is very, very important. If your character has like some good buttons that can just stop your opponent from doing stuff, you can just keep them in the corner for that game or whatever fighting game you're playing, and then get to do whatever you want with them, essentially. So there's a lot of pros to it. The cons, I guess it's just a one big con, which is you don't know what is going on necessarily. Like, you get if you're good at a fighting game, you'll know the flow of combat, and like, oh, I obviously have to block this and that. But if someone's going to frame trap you, you probably don't know what's about to happen to you. You just know, like, man, I'm getting boxed in, what's going on? Which is like one of the key parts of fighting games, which is reading your opponent. What are they going to do? How are they reacting? What is their playstyle? Now, if you don't know how to stop their playstyle, that will be the hugest hurdle you'll ever have in a fighting game. Like, man, this guy is just too good. I don't know what he's doing, but all I know is his buttons are really good. That's how it's just going to feel like for you. Like, man, this character is just ridiculous or something. You're going to have like a reason for it. But the reason is like, oh, they just know frame data. The character they're using is actually not even that broken or anything. They just know what they're doing, which is the biggest part of frame data. Now, I think that's about all I wanted to talk about. Now, if there's any more pros or cons that you guys want to say, you could just put them down in the comments or something, because I can't think of it at the moment. And what made me think of this video is because I thought about my earlier years as a kid when I was playing fighting games, which I was really good at, and I was like playing rank constantly and doing good, but I didn't know what frame data was. I was just doing really good, going up higher and higher, fighting better opponents, and I would just block at the right time and then punish at the right time. It's like it's like as if I knew frame data, but I didn't. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, I knew what I was doing, but without the logic of, plus, minus, safe on block and all that jazz. I didn't really know about that. I just knew when to block, when not to block, when to attack. But yeah, I will catch you guys on Tuesday yet again, and I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, morning, whatever time period you guys live at, man, and I will see you guys next time.